NewsCenter 5.
He's the best kid a parent could ever ask for. He really was.
A local teen is dead. His friend recovering after their boat sinks. Who was able to rescue the survivor as he clung to a buoy?
They're calling him a miracle. This little boy is the sole survivor in a plane crash that killed more than 100 people.
An emotional comeback for Matt Brown as he returns to his high school for the first time since his hockey accident.
This is the 5th time, actually, that we've gone through this.
Good morning, America. Sam Champion undergoing surgery on live TV to remove skin cancer. The warning signs you need to watch for right now on NewsCenter 5 at 5.
You're watching WCVB-TV Channel 5 in high definition. This is NewsCenter 5 at 5. Local, live coverage you can count on.
You are looking at Jeremy Price, new at 5, the accused teen killer who sparked a manhunt when he left a Tewksbury mental health facility without permission, is back in custody tonight. Authorities tracked down the 17-year-old in a Roxbury neighborhood around 1 o'clock this afternoon.
Price was charged as a youthful offender but was found incompetent to stand trial because of his mental disability. He had been missing since Monday night. Price is now being held on $100,000 cash bail. That was his original bail.
I got a 26-foot boat. I would not be comfortable in yesterday's seas.
One life saved, another lost when a boat sinks off Plymouth Harbor.
It doesn't take much when you're out on the coastal waters.
A 19-year-old from Kingston dies when the boat he and his friend are on sinks.
And that friend was in the water for hours before being rescued. It happened off the coast of Plymouth. NewsCenter 5's Jack Harper is live tonight with more on the young man and the friend that he lost. Jack?
Heather, this is one of the boats the harbor master here used. They put everything they had into the search, so did the Coast Guard, but they couldn't get there in time. And should they have been out there? Probably not, because you know what? The boat they were looking for was barely bigger than this one.
It's just total devastation, you know. It's how can you tell you lost your kid? I feel terrible.
His son, David Hansen, was 19, a call firefighter with the Kingston Fire Department.
There's a void, of course, and you can never fill that void. So he will be missed.
David was with his buddy Wayne Carlson when their 15-foot boat capsized. It was similar to this one. The conditions, pitch black, windy, 2 miles offshore.
I know Wayne tried his hardest to keep Dave with him. And he tried as hard as he could. He tied himself pretty much to the buoy and so he could hang on to Dave.
Eventually they separated.
Yes.
Investigators have talked to Wayne Carlson, who's keeping a low profile. David Hansen's father says his son should have known better.
I think it was just a lack of good judgment. And I've told him before when he was out with this other gentleman that you probably shouldn't be out there in a boat at night.
Keith Hansen's been a police officer, I should say, for 26 years in Marshfield. Made a lot of notifications in his time, but says nothing could prepare him for getting the notification himself early this morning. In Plymouth, I'm Jack Harper, NewsCenter 5.
This is new at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Sky 5 over a freight train derailment in Lisbon, Connecticut. 9 cars of the Providence and Worcester train went off the tracks, 3 of them into a nearby river. One of the cars is leaking liquid latex. 3 more cars also went off the other side of the track and took down some power lines. There was also concern tonight about an empty car that was carrying butane, which is flammable. Heavy equipment is being brought in from New York and Pennsylvania to help upright the cars. Let me ask you, were you stuck in this major backup on 93 this morning? Thousands of cars were just parked for miles along 93 North near exit 6 in Braintree after a dump truck rolled over, spilling mulch. State police had to shut down the entire northbound side of the highway for a time. The driver, 38-year-old Gramajo Francisco of Providence, suffered serious injuries. And take a look at the mulch that was spilled all over the road. This picture from one of our viewers on U-Local.
In Dorchester, a 3-year-old has been found wandering a busy street alone this morning. Police say this whole thing happened because of a miscommunication. Apparently, the mom went to the store and told her sister to watch the boy. Well, the little boy apparently followed his mom out the door without her knowing. A laundromat worker spotted the young guy wearing his underwear and a T-shirt on Blue Hill Ave.
I picked him up and told him, don't cry, everything's going to be okay, and I wrapped a towel around him, try to keep him warm, you know, until the police came.
The boy is back home tonight. Police say they don't expect to file any charges.
Sole survivor, 2 words that sum up a tragedy today at Libya's main airport. An Airbus passenger jet was about to land when it smashed into the ground and broke apart. Lindsay Davis reports tonight everyone on the flight was killed except for one little boy who somehow survived despite the odds.
It's hard to believe anyone could survive this. Miraculously, this 10-year-old Dutch boy appears to be the lone survivor of this Africa Airways plane crash. His doctor says his legs are broken, but his vital signs are good. It doesn't appear anyone else on board was as fortunate. Passengers' belongings and smoldering pieces of the plane, including a flight recorder, are all that remain. The Airbus plane was built just last year. All but the tail disintegrated. It went down Wednesday morning on approach to Tripoli's airport. Most of the passengers were Dutch tourists.
It left Johannesburg for Tripoli, and it was then going to fly onward.
We don't know where the communication failure happened, but what we can confirm is that 104 passengers and crew were on board at the time.
Libyan officials say 96 bodies have been found. Rescuers continue searching for the rest of the victims. There's no word on the cause of the crash. Weather conditions appeared fine. Officials hope to learn more about what happened in the final moments from the flight recorder. Lindsay Davis, ABC News.
A former Air Force intelligence specialist responsible for diverting this flight to Maine last month is competent to stand trial. A federal judge ruled today that Derek Stansbury can face trial. A psychologist says the 26-year-old Florida man was suffering from a psychotic break from reality, but is now back to normal. Prosecutors say that Stansbury claimed that he had a fake passport and dynamite on a flight 2 weeks ago. That flight ended up landing in Bangor, Maine.
It was meet and greet day for Supreme Court nominee Elena Kagan on Capitol Hill today. Nicole Killian reports Kagan sat down with top senators hoping to woo support for her confirmation.
This is a ritual for all Supreme Court nominees, and today it was no different for Elena Kagan.
How's it going? It's good. It's fun.
A paparazzi-like frenzy followed Supreme Court nominee Elena Kagan all over Capitol Hill as she kicked off a round of courtesy calls with key senators. But it was all smiles and no comment.
You wish you could talk?
While Kagan met with lawmakers about her nomination.
Boy, I never thought I'd get so quiet in my life.
Among them, the man in charge of Kagan's confirmation hearing, Judiciary Chair Patrick Leahy. He told us his meeting with her went well.
It's always pleasant talking with her because she has such an unbelievable grasp of the law. And it's, in some ways, I feel like I'm back in law school and listening to one of my favorite professors.
But as Senate Democrats heap praise on the nominee,
your moving to this position across the street is so meaningful to everybody.
Republicans said they wouldn't rubber stamp the president's pick.
We intend to go through a thorough process. It is, however, not a rush to judgment.
Behind closed doors, senators probed Kagan on everything from her record to the issues. That included her controversial decision as dean of Harvard's law school to limit military recruiters on campus because of her opposition to the don't ask, don't tell policy. Alabama's Jeff Sessions called her stance out of touch.
Well, I think the Harvard military issue was a big mistake. It was wrong.
A decision Kagan will have to defend when she returns to Capitol Hill for her confirmation hearing. So far, no date has been set for a hearing, but some senators say they're hopeful they can get it completed in August. In Washington, Nicole Killian, NewsCenter 5.
So what's next for Kagan? She has to fill out a formal questionnaire about herself and her views, and once she submits that to lawmakers, they'll review it. They'll set a date for her confirmation hearing. Fresh off the Tea Party Express tour that brought her to Boston, Sarah Palin has a new book in the works that will hit stores in time for the holiday season. It's called America by Heart, Reflections on Family, Faith, and Flag. This book will be released November 23rd. Publisher HarperCollins says it'll include selections from classic and contemporary readings that have moved her. Palin's first book, Going Rogue, has sold more than 2 million copies.
It was a good day on Wall Street with investors growing confidence, sending stocks sharply higher, triple digits higher. The Dow closing up 149, and it's closing in on the 10,900 mark. The NASDAQ was up 50 to finish at 24.25. Starbucks is giving its Seattle Best Coffee brand a makeover. SPC will not only get a new logo, but a new sales push. Starting this fall, it'll be sold in about 30,000 fast food outlets, including Burger King, Subway, as well as AMC movie theaters. The world's largest retailer is making a big commitment to fight hunger. Walmart announcing plans to donate $2 billion to U.S. food banks over the next 5 years. The company and its foundation say they're making hunger relief their main charitable focus because the need is now greater.
Full-day kindergarten, after-school clubs, freshman and JV sports. These are some of the things Quincy's school superintendent is now suggesting be eliminated to close a more than $9 million budget gap. The superintendent will present his recommendations at tonight's school committee meeting. The committee will then review them and decide whether to move forward with any. New tonight at 6 o'clock, NewsCenter 5's Janet Wu will show us other school districts in similar bad shape. Not every high school kid wakes up thrilled to go to school.
However, we know of one young man in Norwood who was over the moon about going to school today, and everyone at his school is feeling the same way. Let's get to NewsCenter 5's Mary Saladin, and she's live with, I love the threes behind you, Mary. Matt Brown's joyous return. He wore number 3 when he played hockey.
He absolutely did, and you know, it's been just over 3 months since that hockey accident that paralyzed Matt. This is what you will see all over town, Ed and Heather, on every storefront, the number 3. Clearly, this town has embraced this inspirational young man. You can only imagine how excited his friends and classmates were today to welcome him back.
What up, PK?
He chose to make his big return to high school in a small way, by dropping in on his favorite teacher and classmates in his Spanish class.
We know he's been missing school, and everyone here missing him, and it's good to see them and him interacting with them again.
I was so excited to see him. I went to the airport to see him, and I was so excited. It's just awesome to have him back.
It was just last week that Matt returned home from months of rehab in Atlanta. He got his first look at community support at Norwood Airport. This morning, he took to the school airwaves to make sure fellow students realized what their prayers, cards, and emails have meant to him.
I just want to say thank you to everyone, and that I'm back. It's good to be back. Thanks.
That would be kind of dangerous.
And we already sort of knew that, but that's not really the question today, is it? We asked you whether high voltage was dangerous. So there's only one way really to answer that.
Oh, no.
And we needed someone to actually expose to this high voltage. So we have a Van de Graaff generator here. Bill's been kind enough to bring it to us.
those.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I love them too. Come on over.
Who doesn't?
Now, this has...
Should I take these off?
You'll need it, believe me.
Oh.
This has 500,000 volts of electricity in it.
500,000 volts.
Yes. Can't wait.
Now, Bill, I want you just before we do the experiment on our human guinea pig, just show us how powerful this really is.
Yes. So this is a happy lightweight rice cereal.
Oh my God.
It is happy, yes. We'll put a few rice cereal kernels up there, and we will crank up the rubber belt.
Ooh.
So it's like rubbing a balloon on your